everybody, what's going on? Happy Monday. And here we are talking about a movie again. I'm doing I'm having a Cruella de Vil moment today.
Yeah, she's no longer a bunny, she's now a leopard. She's getting sexy, man.
I forgot I had this topic. It got pushed behind some of my other stuff, and I was just looking for something today, and I was like, oh yeah, I forgot I had that.
Yeah.
But,
But this was a good flick. Somebody reminded me of this one, and we're going to see Stroker Ace, too.
Yeah, because they got pretty much all of them on Amazon Prime.
Yeah.
I think this was $3.99.
Yeah, I had
some or something like that.
I had some bonus points though from buying shit on Amazon, so it was free for me. Yeah. But this was a good flick.
I liked this a lot, actually.
I remember when it came out when I was a kid, but I don't think I actually saw it on cable. If I did, I didn't remember it. I remembered the Cannonball Run, the 2 Cannonball Runs, and I remembered the Smokey and the Bandit movies. But I forgot about this one. It's a similar kind of movie where it's a comedy, but it's about a stuntman and all the work he's doing with his studios, and it's kind of like it's funny, but about his problems. He's got a drug problem. He's kind of got weird relationship problems with his girlfriend, who's played by Sally Field.
Who was his girlfriend in real life?
His girlfriend in real life, yeah, and she looks really cute in this one.
She's adorable. She's always adorable, but
she's about 10 years younger than him, but they were a good match. I think the chemistry was good. You could definitely tell that they were a real life couple.
Yeah, they actually had met on Smokey and the Bandit, which came out a year before this. But yeah, so they were in this movie together, and you can definitely tell they have really good chemistry with one another.
When you first see her, she's running around fucking braless and shit. Fucking look like she's got implants in this one.
Because of course the first Tom said was like, "Ooh, look how nipped out she is."
She's nipped out like crazy. They're letting you show. They're showing that to you. And she's jumping up on him, and fucking straddling him and stuff.
Because she's a lot littler than he is.
Yeah, she's tiny. Fucking roughhousing with him. And so she's good in it.
Yeah, she's cute as shit.
And I gotta say that fucking Reynolds fucking kicks ass in this movie. He does a good job.
He's just so goddamn charming.
Very likable, yeah. Very likable.
He's just a very likable dude. In his movie roles. I don't know what he was like in real life, but...
Yeah, and he's an asshole, too. I mean, he fucking drinks and drives in front of the cops, fucks with the cops, does all kinds of 70s macho shit.
Yeah, you would get shot doing most of that.
You get shot every day. And,
but 1978, I guess they were just like, oop, shenanigans.
Yeah. But he's playing a famous Hollywood stuntman, so he can get away with a lot of shit. But he gets into bar fights with his friend. His friends are fighting other people, and there are other studio people that he's fighting, and just crazy shit, And it in the end, it ends up, his back is going out on him from all these fucking wrecks. Yeah. And all the shit that he's doing. He's making James Bond movies and stuff. And it's all leading up to this fucking final fucking stunt. And it's this badass stunt he's got to do. He's got to drive through all this exploding towns and a car chase and fucking explosions everywhere. Then they blow up a bridge in front of him, and he's got to ramp over it and make it to the other side. And he says it's his most dangerous stunt he's ever done. It's like an Evel Knievel thing, because he's doing it in a rocket car.
Yeah. And
this is going to be his last stunt, and that's what it brings up. And I ain't going to spoil it, I don't think, because this movie's kind of old. You might want to see it again.
Well, I mean, But I feel like if a movie's this old, you can probably spoil it.
But this one's so old and so forgotten. I imagine people might want to see it. You know what I mean? I don't want to tell them exactly how it ends.
This movie here, it was, like I said, it was actually really, really successful. But I think they were disappointed because it wasn't as successful as Smokey and the Bandit. I did not know this, but Smokey and the Bandit, which came out in 1977, was the second highest grossing movie of 1977 after Star Wars.
Yeah.
I knew it was up there, but
huge.
I didn't know it was second. I'm like, that's a big fucking deal. This one came out the year after it, and it was really successful and made a lot of money too, but it didn't make as much as Smokey and the Bandit. So
not only was Smokey and the Bandit huge, in the South, people would see that thing, they would have repeat views.
Yeah.
At the theater. They just keep going to it. Because, it was it's a southern cast, he's a southern guy, and fucking it was from I think that was actually from a studio out in Tennessee.
No, this was Warner Brothers.
No, not this one.
movie was.
I'm talking about Smokey and the Bandit.
Smokey and the Bandit was also Warner Brothers.
Was it also Warner
I think
Brothers?
it was Warner Brothers, yeah.
Okay.
Well, they're all the same director, Hal Needham. He directed Smokey and the Bandit, Cannonball Run, Stroker Ace, and this one.
Now
among many others.
that studio might have done it for Warner Brothers.
Yeah, maybe. I'm not sure.
But I think the actual studio itself was in Tennessee.
Well, the weird thing about this movie is that even though, I mean, you're led to assume that it's supposed to be California, I guess, but they shot the whole thing in Alabama.
Yeah.
And that bridge that they ramped at the end, that was a real bridge that was fucked up and that they were going to demolish, so they let them do it for the movie.
I thought it looked like the South, you know. I'm from Mississippi.
It's Alabama.
Look, and I was going like, they were doing all this shit out in California. Some of the stuff I think was done maybe like on the Alabama Gulf Coast. Didn't quite look like California's coast. The waves really weren't there.
Yeah.
But, so it must have been Gulf of Mexico.
Yeah,
and,
probably. Because there were a couple scenes where they were driving like coastal.
And, but yeah, when I was a kid, we knew these as basically Southern movies by Southern people for Southerners. It was white exploitation, redneck exploitation. But they were good with it though. They weren't goofing on the South and some of the other movies like White Lightning and all that. They were just making it very cool. And when they came out, some of the movies that Burt Reynolds came out with were kind of limited releases, mostly in the South. And then they would play a few days maybe on the West and East Coast, but not as long as they would in the South, because Southerners could see these things fucking 5 times. I remember people doing it. They were smoking weed too.
Well,
yeah, fucking going to get high and go see the movies. You know, movies didn't cost that much back then. Also, I think it was like $2.50.
Cost even less if you hid in the trunk and when you went to the drive-in.
Yeah.
Then it was free.
Mississippi didn't have drive-ins.
We did.
Did it? Okay.
Well, we had some.
I don't remember.
We had one main drive-in in Daytona that we went to when I was a kid.
Yeah.
But that was closed by the time I was.
Yeah, but you're from a big city compared to Mississippi.
Yeah, I mean Daytona's not huge. But it's bigger.
That was like a big city. Yeah.
Yeah, it's bigger now than it was when I grew up.
Jenny's a city girl for white Southern, by Southern terms, standards. Yeah.
Well, sort of.
Yeah. Oh no, compared to fucking Laurel, Mississippi, or something like that. Oh no, you'd be a big city girl.
Yeah.
Compared to them.
But yeah, so Hal Needham actually wasn't attached to this project at first. I think that this script was going around again for like a few years, and Burt Reynolds really wanted to do it because this movie is basically like an appreciation of stunt people.
Yeah.
Which at the time, I don't even think like the Oscars or anything like that. I don't even think they had a category for that, which is bullshit. So they were kind of like not all that appreciated. Yeah. So
stuntman subculture.
Yeah, so I thought it was like kind of cool that they wanted to like actually show some appreciation for all the hard work these people do, which like I said, they didn't really get a lot of accolades for.
Yeah. And there was a lot of shout outs to Evel Knievel in this too. A lot of this shit was homaging Knievel. Rocket cars, fucking gladiator stuff, motorcycle armor, motorcycle stunts, because Evel Knievel was huge at this time.
Yeah.
So they got some of that in there too. So Hooper is kind of, not only is he a stuntman, he's also kind of like Evel Knievel.
Yeah, I mean, he's in the context of the movie. It's, it's crazy. So this is, because we did a Burt Reynolds movie last week, so we're kind of doing like a Burt's-a-Palooza, I guess. Mustache-a-Palooza.
Yeah.
But the weird thing, too, is that we did The End last week, and his character in that was also named Sonny. He's also named Sonny in this movie. For some weird reason.
Because it sounds cool.
I guess. But I just thought that was kind of cool.
There was a lot of Southern Sonnies too.
Yeah. In the context of the movie, Sonny Hooper, this movie was originally supposed to be called The Stuntman, but I guess there was another movie going around that was named that, and they tried to sue and all this other stuff, so they had to change it to Hooper. So it's the guy's name, you know what I mean? And he's supposedly like the greatest stuntman alive, or whatever. But he's kind of, even though Burt Reynolds, I don't know how old he was in 1978.
30s, late
But
30s.
in the context of, I mean, stuntmen, I guess they probably have a pretty short shelf life because that's a rough job. So in the context of it, he's getting toward the end. He's like, he's kind of getting old. He's like popping pills all the time, and he's like getting drunk all the time.
They were Vicodins, weren't they?
And then, no, Percodan.
Percodans? Yeah.
Percodan.
So he's an opiate.
He just like basically just pops Percodan.
Yeah,
like it was like candy.
Yeah, so he's hooked on opiates.
Pretty much.
Yeah, he kind of admits it. Yeah.
Yeah, I said, they're very like no one's judgy about it really or anything like that. It's just kind of like, well, that's just how you do. You know what I mean?
He's in constant pain from all the injuries.
Yeah, because he's gotten injured so many times. Yeah. So he's in a relationship with Sally Field. I think her name is Gwen, and her character name is. And her dad, Jocko, was also a stuntman, but he's retired. You know, obviously he's older now. And there's kind of like a little subplot where, you know, Jocko wants him to marry her, and like he doesn't really want to because he's like, oh, I was married before and I fucked it up and blah blah blah, that kind of shit. But then, kind of the main through line. This is kind of a. I'm not saying this to be disparaging, but it's kind of a meandering. I guess the end was kind of like that too.
Yeah.
It's kind of episodic. It's kind of it's an action movie. It's a comedy, but it's also kind of a hangout. Movie, because you're just kind of hanging out with these characters a lot of the time.
That's the way Cannonball Run was.
Yeah.
That's the way Smokey and the Bandit was.
Like I said, it's the same director.
It's more like you're on a journey.
Yeah.
With them, and really the movie is a great premise, a great vehicle for just showing a bunch of Burt Reynolds doing some bunch of badass stunts.
And Burt Reynolds started out as a stuntman, so that's why he really wanted to do this.
And he's doing his, he's doing those horse stunts. I don't know, that might be his horse, but he's doing. I will watch closely. That is him on that horse.
Yeah, he has a horse.
I'm from the horse industry, and goes, yeah, he's riding that horse. He's getting the horse to rear, and it's doing stunts and shit like that. So, and it wouldn't surprise me if Burt owned horses. Most rich guys that like him had horses, and the fucking old Western style clothing and owning horses and Western equestrianism, which is cowboy riding, was fucking huge at this era. The music and everything, even in California, you wouldn't think so, but when you got outside of the city, man, there was a fucking redneck culture, and fucking country Western music was a fucking big. That was super popular in the 70s and early 80s.
Yeah, so like I said, there is a lot of a country music. Here's one of the weird things. This place they hang out in the movie is kind of like a country western bar, and it's called the Palomino.
Yeah.
But it's like outside, because like the first time they do this, because there's a huge bar brawl, obviously, because it's a Hal Needham movie, and you have to have a bar brawl, just like you have to have car chases. But the thing about so they have this thing. And the walls, I'm like, the walls look like they're made of like wooden fence posts. And then like when they scroll up like that, like to get a wide shot, there's no roof,
no ceiling. Yeah.
And I said, "What did they mean to do that? It's like, is this bar supposed to be outside, or is this a set?
Yeah.
Or is that like a joke that it's like a set? Or I didn't really get it.
I never really got that either.
But like you could see very clearly later on that it was outside, like it didn't have a roof.
Yeah. The only thing I could imagine was they were trying to say, well, it's California, it doesn't really rain here, so it doesn't need a roof. But it does rain in California every now and then.
Well, yeah, and I was assuming that this bar was on the premises of whatever
where they were shooting
studio, like whatever they were shooting. So maybe it was just kind of like a pop up.
I think it might have been a set that they drank in.
Maybe
because they had fights in it.
And they tore it all up, and nobody was concerned.
And they had lights. They had stage lights,
like up above. That's what I was thinking.
I think it was an Old West bar set that they actually
used as a bar.
That they actually drank in.
That actually makes sense.
I think it was because it was on the lot.
Because they were throwing each other out the windows and stuff like that. No one got hurt, really.
No, because it was probably fucking, it wasn't real glass.
It was like that sugar glass or whatever the fuck they used like back in the day. Mm-hmm. But yeah, so I thought that was a little bit funny. Or like I said, it was kind of like... Because here was another thing. Do you remember like the first stunt, like when they opened the movie... He's working on this movie, like a spy movie, kind of like a James Bond type movie, starring Adam West. Because Adam West is in this, and he's playing himself. He's only in like a couple scenes. And
it was funny when they show Adam West showing up, and he wants to talk to Hooper about the stunts and shit. He's got like 5 gorgeous escorts, I guess, with him. I don't know. Fucking just got like 5 gorgeous blondes, all of them with fucking implants and shit, following around like it's all just normal.
Yeah.
Yeah. Groupies.
But so this first stunt is like Adam West's character, the stuntman, his stunt equivalent, is going to be sliding to go, kind of zip lining down like this thing, and then he's going to fall, like the wire's going to fall like in the middle. And so the whole thing is that he has this dog for whatever reason. They never explain like why he has a dog. But so he's supposed to be like going down this zip line like holding a dog.
Yeah.
And like so the guy from the Humane Society is there being like, you can't use a real dog. I mean, obviously. Yeah. You can't do that. And then he's like, oh no, see, we have this dummy dog we're gonna switch it out and all this other stuff. But then like the guy tells Burt Reynolds later, he's like, no, we're totally using the real dog.
Yeah.
And Burt Reynolds like, you can't fucking do that, you know what I mean? But they do.
They did it anyway, yeah.
But here's the funny thing. When Burt Reynolds does the stunt...
You can tell it's not a real dog.
With the dog... Well, the funny thing about that is not only could you tell that it wasn't a real dog, it wasn't even the dummy dog that they showed before.
It was another dummy
It was a really bad looking... And I was like, oh, that's pretty clever. Like,
if they... Be a joke.
That's what I thought. Yeah. I mean, that's how I took it.
They wanted you to know it wasn't a real dog.
They very clearly showed you the dummy dog, which looked... not great, but it looked more like a real dog.
Yeah.
But when Burt Reynolds does the stunt, like, and he falls with this dog, it was very clearly this big white fluff. No, it didn't even look like a dog.
I guess they wanted the audience to know that wasn't the real dog.
That wasn't
the real dog.
The real dog.
Yeah. That's the only thing I could see. That was a gag.
Yeah, that's what I thought. But I was like, if that's a gag, that's a really good, like, subtle
Yeah, that was supposed
gag.
to be, he was doing a lot of stuff for, according to the music, James Bond. It was a very James Bond.
It was called "The Spy Who Laughed at Danger." Was the name of the movie he was filming.
And as he's doing all the stunts, there is a James Bond style theme going on in there. And I guess Adam West was supposed to be Roger Moore because he was kind of acting the way you would expect Roger, like an American Roger Moore would act. Like they were probably pretty similar. Those two dudes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because they had similar builds.
So that dog thing like kind of cracks me up. Because, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because it's like, well, that's obviously not even the fake dog that they showed earlier. That's like a really, really very obviously fake dog that they showed. So I thought that was pretty funny. But so Burt Reynolds, Sonny, gets kind of shanghaied into doing this stunt show. Like I said, this movie is basically just an excuse to show a bunch of really cool stunts. And like I said, kind of just show appreciation for stunt people. So he gets to go to this show, and he meets this new up-and-coming stuntman, whose name is Delmore Shidsky. Except they call him Ski, because they said, we're not saying your last name, because that's terrible. They make him spell it. Who is played by Jan Michael Vincent, most famously of Miami Vice.
Yeah.
And he was this was a few years before Miami Vice, so he's like still fairly.
He was in Miami Vice. I don't remember him in Miami.
No,
Vice.
was he? Wait,
he was in Airwolf or something. No, wasn't he?
I thought it was Miami Vice.
No,
or am I thinking of?
You're thinking of fucking.
Oh no, not Miami Vice. I'm thinking of
You're thinking of fucking what's his name?
Shit, what the fuck is?
Don Johnson.
Yeah,
you're thinking of Don Johnson.
Yeah, what the fuck was Jan Michael Vincent in?
He was in Airwolf.
Yeah, maybe it was Airwolf.
Yeah.
Okay. This whole time I was thinking it was Miami Vice, and I'm like, no, that's not.
I was going like, I don't remember him in that.
No, he wasn't in Miami Vice.
I thought he was supporting cast or something. But no, you're thinking of Don Johnson.
Yeah.
But they do, I guess, kind of like.
They say they look kind of similar.
Yeah, Michael Vincent was in a good one with what's his name? Remember that fucking one about the two assassins, the two gay assassins. Yeah, that was a good one. Machinist? Mechanic? No.
The Mechanic.
The Mechanic, is that what it's called? Chad Michael Vincent
Charles Bronson.
Charles Bronson.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, remember?
He was in that.
He's in that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, Charles Bronson.
He was in a bunch of other stuff, television, mostly television.
Yeah, I remember him mostly from TV.
Yeah.
But so he plays like kind of a hotshot young stuntman. So the thing about it is, so you can tell that Burt Reynolds is a little bit like, because he's getting to be a point where he's like over the hill, and here comes this new kid who shows up, well, he's not a kid, but you know what I mean, who shows up at the thing, like, and jumps out of a fucking plane or whatever, like, you know, and it's like a record-breaking, like, so he's just like, he has to like kind of show him up, but not like in a shitty way.
Yeah, they end up becoming buddies.
Like they actually end up becoming friends, but they have like a friendly rivalry where they always have to kind of one up each other all the time.
I think he was also in the A-Team.
Oh yeah, well,
didn't he play face in the A-Team?
No, that was
Who was that?
Shit, I can see his face, but I can't.
It's not him. Okay.
No, I don't think so.
All right.
I could be wrong. I don't really remember.
All right.
I don't really remember. But yeah. So where was I?
Their friendship.
So they eventually become friends.
Yeah.
Now the movie that they're working on, is directed by this guy who's real, I don't know, he's not overtly shitty, like the director. I think the character's name is Roger Deal, but he's played by Robert Klein, and he's really, really good in this. But he's very much like, this is my movie, and it's my art, and he takes it very, very seriously, you know what I mean? And so he's always kind of, like, at odds with everybody else working on the movie. So he wants this ending to be, like, a big fucking deal. So once the new stuntman, the younger stuntman, Jan Michael Vincent, comes on, and he's, way more daring, I guess. So he suggests to the director, it's like, hey, how about at the end, like, where we have this big earthquake and all these explosions, this whole fucking town is falling down, and all this other stuff. He's like, what if we ramp this gorge? Because, like, they were gonna do, like, just rappel down it or something like that. He's like, we could ramp that. They're like, that's like 325 feet. You know what I mean? It's like, that's never been done. And Burt Reynolds is like, we could do it in a rocket car. And then he's like, yeah, that's a good idea. And then so the director's like, oh my God, I love that. We have to do it. And so Burt Reynolds is like, well, I'm going to need $100,000, like $50,000 for me and $50,000 for Ski, because it's a 2-man stunt. Like, you can't just have one dude in the car. So they're like, no way, we're already over budget. But the director wants it so bad that he's like, we got to cut other stuff. And meanwhile, it turns out that Burt Reynolds, after this one stunt that he does, because he's trying to show up Ski, so he's like, I'm going to jump out of a helicopter higher than anyone's jumped out of a helicopter, and he just jumps onto this big, one of those big, like, landing pad things.
Yeah, big,
the big, what the fuck are those called?
It's like a big pillow.
Yeah, one of those.
Yeah.
So he lands in one of those.
A big airbag.
Yeah, a big airbag, that's what I'm thinking. I couldn't think of the word airbag. So and, so he lands in that. And he wouldn't go to the doctor. He just pops Percodan, but he tells his best friend after that jump, because it was like 200 and something feet, or it was like higher than anybody had jumped from a helicopter. And he just jumped right out. He didn't have like nothing. And he's like, I think I have to go to the doctor. Like, I don't feel too good. So they go there, and the doctor basically says, hey, you take one more bad fall, and you're probably going to be a quadriplegic. You know what I mean? It's like, you really got to watch it. You should retire. But now this big fucking stunt comes up. And they even tell him, like, the guy that builds the rocket car, he's just like, look, even if you do this right, the car is going to land really hard. Like, it's got a roll cage and all that other kind of stuff in it. But he's like, it's going to land really hard, and it still might fuck up your back. Like, you still might not be able to walk after it. Like, even so. And then his girlfriend, Sally Field, finds out about, because he wasn't going to tell her about this big fucking stunt, obviously. And, because he's like, oh, I'm going to get so much money on this, and I'm going to retire after this movie. Like, after this big stunt. But didn't tell her what the stunt was. But she finds out from, like, another one of his friends, and she's just like, what the fuck? Like, you can't. And then it so happens that her dad, who is also a stuntman, he has a stroke, and he falls in the shower and, like, breaks his knee or something like that. And so Burt Reynolds, like, sees him, and he's like, oh, man, I don't want to end up like that. So he decides he's not going to do it. But then he kind of gets talked back into it, because Ski can't do it by himself, and there's no other stuntmen that are qualified to do this, and so you kind of have to do it, because the director is like having a shit fit that he really wants it in the movie. So they decide they're going to go ahead and do it. And I have to say, this final sequence where, like, they do, because they do it, like, in pretty much one
cut
shot, like one continuous take. So it's just them driving this rocket car, like, through this town. Like I said, they don't tell you what the plot of the movie is that they're filming. Yeah. But it's supposedly this big earthquake, and, like, so all these buildings are falling down. Like, explosions. Everything's exploding. There's, like, cars going everywhere, like, hitting each other and flipping over. And it's, like, this big fucking thing. And then, at the end, they come up on this fuel truck. The fuel truck explodes and makes this bridge over this gorge go out. And they have to ramp over this fucking gorge. Yeah. Which, like I said, is like 300-something feet. And it's never been done before. And the guy that built the rocket car is like, well, the pressure on the thing, the rocket car thing, he's like, it has to be up to like 1,500 pounds per inch or something, whatever he said it was.
Yeah, it's a hypergolic rocket.
Yeah.
It's just just like on the back of a fucking German fucking Comet rocket plane. They're little small rockets. You just look at pure hydrogen peroxide and pure, I forgot what the other one was, put it together. And each one of those things will eat you up. They're super acidic. but there's a violent explosion, and a little light rocket can produce a whole bunch of thrust. So that's what they're going to use to help them do this jump. Very fucking dangerous. It was the same kind of shit they were fucking Evel Knievel used for the fucking Snake Canyon jump. The worst thing that could ever happen is you fucking hit the ground with fuel still in the tank, and that fuel gets on you because the fuel tank ruptures. You're just going to end up being pink foam and a skeleton. That's it's highly corrosive.
Pretty much.
Just eat you up. That's how base it is. And very dangerous. I don't think they would have ever... That's not what they used in this car. They would never allow that, I don't think.
Well, I would hope not.
Okay. But it was a good idea. Because that's what they Knievel used in the Snake Canyon jump.
Yeah, so, I mean...
If I remember correctly.
Like I said, I think part of the comedy of this movie comes from this kind of sanctimonious director wanting to do this stuff for his movie without really caring. I don't really think he particularly cares if the stuntman get killed doing it or not. He just wants it to look amazing.
Yeah, they couldn't do the jump in the movie. They couldn't do the jump until I guess it was some kind of injector pressure was up at a certain amount.
Yeah, like 1,500.
Yeah, if the injector pressure wasn't good enough,
they didn't think
then
the
fuel
was gonna make it.
Not enough fuel was going to be injected into the combustion chamber to get the thrust you needed. They didn't really explain why that pressure should be going up and down. They didn't explain that because it wouldn't. They just had to have some premise.
It's just
for data. Yeah. Usually, as soon as the rocket goes off, the explosion itself powers the pumps that pump more fuel in there. It was called a rotojet engine, but they never really got those to work right. That's probably what they were talking about.
But yeah, it's so... Like I said, it's kind of like a funny... Yeah. Because at the end, the director gets punched in the face. Because of all... Like I said, the director wasn't overtly shitty. He wasn't mean or like an asshole or anything. He just wanted what he wanted, and I don't really think that he cared who got hurt, if he got it. Because the premise of the movie is, there's a whole stunt team, obviously, because this is a huge thing, but Burt Reynolds' character is, the stunt coordinator, so he's, the boss of all the stuntmen. But, but the thing about it is that one of the things that they kind of highlight, with the stuntman or stunt person subculture is that these are danger junkies. They wouldn't be doing it otherwise. Even in their day-to-day lives, like I said, they're fucking all out on the road, in this convoy going somewhere. They're all drinking and driving. They're all just doing stunts, going from one car, crawling from one car to another. Burt Reynolds is driving his car backwards, super fast. They get pulled over by a motorcycle cop. Yeah. They all get pulled over, and it's he gets a ticket for driving backwards because that's all that he saw. And
they attach a cable.
And then they attach a cable
to the back of the cop's fucking
back of his belt. So that when he gets on the
pulls him off, that would kill you. Fucking yeah. But they were stupid.
But they kind of play it for laughs though. Obviously the cop isn't hurt in the movie because he just falls in the dirt. But I was in real life, oh my god, you would get in so much fucking trouble.
They had some young girls with them, and they were drinking beer in the back of these fucking
always Coors,
like open top fucking modified Ford Broncos. They'd kind of turned it into a Jeep, and the other one I think was a Jeep. But they were in the back drinking, and they were jumping from one vehicle to the next while they were going down the road at high speed. So they didn't really explain that. I guess those girls were stunt people also, because they didn't seem to have any problem doing it. Just jumping over, doing car stunts.
Like I said, I think that's kind of what they were trying to show, that it's all the stunt people all hung out together, and they even did that kind of shit when they weren't working because they were all like Tammy said, they're all adrenaline junkies. Yeah. So there's that. Even though Burt Reynolds at one point, after he sees his it was not his father-in-law, but his girlfriend's dad, after he has a stroke and hurts himself and everything, and he's just man, I don't want to end up like that. But you can still tell that he's kind of bummed because he still kind of wants to do it. You know what I mean? And he even does end up doing it, even though his girlfriend says, "Hey, I'm leaving you if you do it."
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And he's like, I still got to do it, though. You know what I mean?
Well, you need the money, too.
Well, that, too. I mean, he was like, it was he was going to get $50,000. And, I mean, in 1978, that was a huge amount of money. And Ski was going to get $50,000. He's like, oh, I could pay off my house and all this other stuff. So, with maybe the implication that he would marry her in the end. Because, he'd have all his ducks in a row because he could retire.
And they lived pretty good. They showed where they lived. They lived well.
Yeah, it was kind of out on like a... It's kind of a farm-ish kind of situation.
Yeah, out in the country, California. Like on farms.
Although, like I said,
farms.
It was shot in Alabama, though.
Yeah.
I don't think any of it was shot in California.
No, but they tried to make it look like it was...
They did try to make it look like it was
They picked stuff that would fit a California-type
yeah.
situation.
I was actually surprised that it was Alabama. I didn't think it was California. I said, well, maybe it is because that's usually where they shoot the stuff. But yeah, like you're right, it didn't quite look like it.
Yeah, but man, people don't realize that there are some mind-blowing fucking country manners out in Mississippi and Alabama. Because even if you didn't make that much money, you could afford some nice shit. Because shit doesn't cost that much. If you made $150,000 a year in Mississippi, you were a millionaire. You basically lived like a millionaire. You'd have a big mansion and everything because you could finance it. Your credit was good. So they lived like that. And you couldn't live that way in California at $150,000 a year. You need a couple million a year to live like that.
Somebody's Damnation Alley. We did not review Damnation Alley.
Yes, we did.
No, we did Nightmare Alley.
No, we did Damnation. I'm pretty sure we did.
We did? I don't remember.
That was the one that had I think it had George Papard in it and Jan Michael Vincent, and they were in that damn vehicle going across the fucking nuclear wastelands. Remember, going into we saw it together. I'm pretty sure we reviewed it.
I have to look. I don't remember. It's not ringing a bell.
Yeah, remember that? And they had the fucking mutant cockroaches that were ate up all the fucking plastic and shit in one city, and all kinds of stuff happened in it. They were in a vehicle kind of like Arc 2. That Arc 2 vehicle had fucking big rotary wheels, 3 wheels on each little fucking
it's possible we saw it, but it's like, it's not ringing a bell
They ended up in fucking Las Vegas, and it was all abandoned.
I'll look it up later.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we reviewed it. I could check.
I don't remember. Camp Guy said, Reynolds was great in Boogie Nights. First seen as classic among many others.
Yeah.
Paul Thomas Anderson, simply a fantastic director. Honestly, yeah, I love Boogie Nights. It was so fun good. Camp Guy said Reynolds didn't want to take the part. And Anderson, I guess, P.T. Anderson had to lobby him for a good long while. Reynolds didn't like playing a hedonist.
Okay, yeah, I guess we didn't do Damnation Alley.
Yeah, I didn't think we did. Because, like, you're describing it, and I'm just like, that does not sound familiar to me at all.
We watched it. We've seen it before.
I'd have to see. If I saw some stills from it, I might remember.
Right here.
No, I don't remember that.
That vehicle, remember?
Nope.
The Landmaster.
Nope.
Okay, then I guess we didn't see it.
I don't remember seeing that.
You don't remember that?
Nope.
Okay.
Nope.
I could have swore we reviewed it, but we didn't.
That does look like the car from Logan's Run show, though.
Not Logan's Run.
Yeah.
It was Arc 2. Remember when the talking monkey?
Oh, right.
We were talking chimpanzee.
Right. Didn't we only watch like one episode of that?
Yeah, one episode.
Yeah. And we went off on our...
Went on other stuff, yeah.
we were watching Sigmund and the Sea Monsters.
Yeah, Sid and Marty Croft.
Off on our Sid and Marty Croft thing.
Yeah.
We were watching like episodes of like one shows and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so... I don't know, just there was something about this movie. I liked the end because it was a black comedy. I think I liked this one a little bit better. It was funnier. The humor was a lot more subtle. It's still funny, but it's not real zany. You know what I mean?
Versus the end?
Yeah,
this was better than the end.
The end wasn't zany either, really. Well, except for Dom DeLuise. He was pretty zany. But,
I like this one better because it was more of a Burt Reynolds type movie with action in it and adventure and him being an ass and fucking, you know.
And I liked the ensemble. Like,
ensemble cast.
All of the cast were really good together. Like, everyone was just it was just very naturalistic.
They were all Burt's friends, and they appear in a lot of Burt Reynolds movies.
Yeah, like when a group of them were all hanging out, like, they were all just, like, talking over each other, and they were just like a regular, I mean, it was just very, very,
some of it sounded like it was ad-libbed.
Yeah.
Which is good.
Yeah. So you could tell that it was just kind of like, it seemed very much like a bunch of friends and a bunch of people that like work together all the time, like hanging out. So
it's a hangout movie.
Yeah, it's like, it has a plot, obviously, but the plot's not like super important. Like I said, it's just mostly kind of a thing to get you from one
stunt to
the next stunt.
And Sonny's problems.
And and he's not as much of a dick as he was in the end.
No.
I mean, he's still likable. He's always likable because that's just what Burt Reynolds was like. But, you know, in the end, he was like, you know, a serial adulterer. He was just like a horrible, like, cheating businessman and like all this other kind of stuff. He was kind of an asshole. In this one, he's still slightly an asshole, but he's like a lovable asshole. You know what I mean?
Burt Reynolds, to me, was always kind of like the template, I think, that Star Wars ripped Han Solo off of. The Han Solo character was... Burt Reynolds was like that. I think they might have borrowed some of his mojo from that. I don't know.
That's the parts of it.
Yeah, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Burt Reynolds is always playing a Han Solo kind of guy.
Yeah, he's just like an effortless... I mean, because it's got to be pretty difficult to play a character that's kind of a dick, but also you can't help but love him.
Semi-criminal, too.
Yeah, and I mean, and especially in this one, holy crap! Like I said, some of the stuff that they were doing in this, I was like, no way would you get away with it. Well, and probably, and rightfully so. I mean, you probably should not be able to get away with it.
In White Lightning and Gator, he was literally a criminal.
Yeah,
they released him from prison.
But like I said, the crimes he was in, it wasn't like
bootlegging.
Yeah,
bootlegging and doing shit, gangster type shit.
Which is, you know.
But they let him out to fucking because the feds wanted him to fucking basically find out who killed his brother. Yeah, because they're pretty sure it was a crooked sheriff.
Right.
And that he was a guy who could penetrate it. So he becomes like a James Bond, like a secret agent.
Yeah.
He's a criminal and a secret agent.
So he was just really good at playing those kind of characters.
Yeah.
He's kind of like... just kind of like right on the fringes of the law, I guess.
Yeah.
But still like so charming and charismatic that you can't help.
The bandit was a criminal.
Yeah.
Like Han Solo. He was a smuggler.
Yeah.
Basically. He was helping a smuggling team.
Well, Cannonball Run, they were doing illegal shit too.
Yeah,
like that was an illegal car race.
Yeah. Everything. The Burt Reynolds movie was a lovable outlaw movie. That was the idea.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
Yep.
And in this one, I mean, obviously he's a stuntman, so he's not like a criminal in this one, but he does do criminal behavior.
Yeah.
Like, you know, he gets in fights. He put his head through a jukebox.
What he did to that cop would give you 10 years.
Yeah, well, because we were sitting there thinking, like, oh, shit. I was like,
murder.
Yeah, I was like, that's attempted murder.
That's attempted murder. Yeah, you get 10 years. Law enforcement officer even more.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Because, basically what they did was because he pulled over the whole, you know, the whole group of cars. And so while Burt Reynolds was, like, doing his shtick and, like, getting his ticket or whatever, somebody snuck up behind him and put, like, this big wire and, like, put it to, like, a telephone pole. So when he took off on the motorcycle, like, it pulled him off the bike.
Yeah, and he was on a nice bike. He was on a Moto Guzzi.
Like, from the back.
Yeah, it was on a Moto Guzzi police bike.
And I was kind of like, holy shit.
Yeah, and he wasn't trying to kill him. But,
no.
But a prosecutor would have said that he was. And probably got away with it. They probably, you tried to kill that cop. You'd fucking get 15 years.
Well, yeah, because you could very easily get killed doing that. Like I said, the only reason he didn't get hurt was because there was like a bunch of dirt.
Some dirt. He landed on the dirt.
But if he landed on...
It wrecked the bike, though.
Yeah. See? Well, yeah, that's like fucking
so there's destruction of property and shit, yeah.
Property damage. Well, and after that big bar fight they had at the Palomino, it's like they trashed that whole place. And like no one even cared. They were just kind of like, oh, well, that shit happens. Like I said, he put his head through the jukebox.
Yeah.
Because the two dudes came up, and one of whom was Terry Bradshaw.
Yeah.
Came up to him and said they were talking too loud over the music that they put in. They put 50 cents in the jukebox. And it's like, we can't hear the songs that we wanted because you guys are too loud and blah, blah, blah. And so Burt Reynolds puts on a helmet and, like, puts his head through the fucking and gives them their fucking quarters back. And then he still got his ass kicked anyway.
Yeah.
Because Terry Bradshaw is a giant dude.
What they're picturing, though, you know, really wasn't far from 70s antics anyway. I mean, the 70s was wild. Maybe it wasn't quite like that all the time, but shit like that happened.
Well, yeah. You could get away with a lot more.
You could get away with a lot more back then.
Like, I don't even think...
culture.
In the 70s, I'm not really sure. Like, I guess it depended on where you were. But in the 70s, you could probably drive around drinking a Coors.
Yeah, you could do it in Mississippi in the 80s, not Mississippi, in Louisiana
and I don't
in the
think
80s.
Anybody would have said
in the 80s, you could do it. You could do it
as long as you were keeping your shit on the road. I don't think anybody would have said.
You see, it wasn't all that far. You know, they were drinking. You could see that they were drinking out of beer cans. You know.
Do you remember like?
And technically, that's illegal.
It is.
But the penalties weren't very stiff for that.
Yeah.
In the 70s, probably just a fine. So, or a ticket. You know, but nowadays they lock you up, take your driver's license. They weren't like that back then. They were more lenient.
You remember that one time that we were driving through Altamont Springs, I guess, and we stopped at a stoplight, and the dude in the truck next to us was chugging a beer out of a mug.
Out of a frosty fucking
like
glass
a frosty
mug.
Beer mug.
And he was, I was behind him. He's driving.
It was the middle of the day.
He's on a fucking monster truck. He's driving.
I was like, what the fuck?
And I'm behind him. I can see him that he's holding that mug steady. Like that as he's driving, like that, and going.
Oh my god!
And it was a huge.
I couldn't believe.
It was like a glass stein.
He didn't even put it. He didn't even try to hide it. And it's like it didn't even have a top on it.
You couldn't put it down.
Yeah, it's too big
because it wouldn't go in a cup holder. He was just holding.
He did not think things through clearly.
Yeah.
Which probably means he was drunk as shit.
Probably drunk as shit. He didn't give a shit though. It was a big old black monster truck.
We just looked over there. That's big frosty mug.
Yeah. So look at that bitch.
In the middle, it was like 2 in the afternoon.
Yeah, and he's drinking like that.
I'm like, Jesus Christ.
He might have been fucking with everybody. That might have been apple cider or some shit.
I mean, maybe. That would be kind of funny. I mean, well, it's funny until somebody calls the cops on you. Yeah. You know what I mean? Which they probably should. But, I mean, I don't know if he was driving all erratic. I didn't really see it.
No, he was driving normally.
He was driving pretty normal.
Yeah.
But
it was outside fucking Markham Woods Road, which is like a really wealthy road.
Yeah.
Up from where we used to live. The guy
it's like a windy, 2-lane road.
The guy who owns Ace Hardware lives, Ace Hardware lives. No, not Ace Hardware. It's the other one.
I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's Ace Hardware. That's what it is. He lives there, and he on a huge fucking compound. All your basketball players and shit, sports people live on that fucking road. It's like mansions.
Yeah, it's like mansions and a lot of horse stuff and
horse stuff
like that big.
So he was coming out of there. He didn't give a shit.
Yeah, he's like.
I saw a fucking AC Cobra coming out of there, which is a fucking old 60s convertible hot rod. But it was brand new. I think it was a South African superformance kit with some kind of modern engine in it with a big old fat Arab guy driving it. He was fucking going fast too. I was behind him in the motorcycle fucking running with him. He's looking like that. And he's racing me, and then he goes into this fucking... Yeah, pretty cool.
Next Dimension Media says, I also love the sequel to White Lightning, Gator, with
Gator's good,
Burt and Jerry. Yeah, I think we reviewed that too. I think we reviewed both of them.
I think we reviewed both of them, yeah.
You make a movie about a Dixie Mafia guy named Bama McCall. I'm there. Take my money.
Yeah.
I mean, pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think this one is not as rednexploitation as Smoking the Bandit or Gator or White Lightning. Because, like I said, it's mostly based around the movie industry, and you're led to assume this is like California people, even though they didn't shoot this in California, like I said. But it still does have that country western flavor to it.
Yeah,
like
a lot of existed in California.
Yeah, a lot of the they hang out at a country western bar. Like there's a Tammy Wynette song in there. There's actually a country song that I guess was written for the movie that I think is called The Hollywood Stuntman or something like that. So it has all country music in it too. But yeah, and like I said, when you said about him riding the horses and stuff like that. Yeah, he has a horse in this one named Dancer.
Yeah.
And that's and he's riding it. I mean, he's clearly riding it.
It's a western stunt horse. It's doing tricks and shit.
Yeah.
Doing tricks with it.
And so I don't know, because I think we've said when we talked about some of Burt Reynolds' other movies that he did seem to do a lot of his own stunts.
Yeah.
And because he started out as a stuntman. And the funny thing about this is that he has, after him and all his stuntman friends get in the fight with Terry Bradshaw and all of his friends, and they trash the bar, they all get thrown out the windows and everything like that. And so they all go to Burt Reynolds' house. And they show him all sleeping in his living room while he's showing a video of all his greatest stuntman hits.
Yeah.
And one of the things they show is the bit from Deliverance where he falls out of the canoe or whatever, and he's just in the rapids.
In the rapids, yeah.
And I was just like,
I haven't seen that in a long time.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, I want to see that one again too. I haven't seen.
Man, Deliverance is so good.
Yeah.
If you haven't seen, that's a fucking classic.
I see Deliverance again. I want to see Stroker Ace now.
Yeah, because that was
a race car driver.
I think he's a race car driver, and Lonnie Anderson is in that one.
Yeah.
They were married a long time.
Yeah. She fucking took him to the cleaners, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I don't remember.
Took all his money. Her and her boobs.
Her and her boobs.
Yeah.
Her boobs are stuffed with his money.
It was the power of the boobs by which she got a hold of his fucking fortune. She was cute, though. She was cute.
Yeah, I mean, she probably had some
I may
money
be
in her own
remembering
right.
that incorrectly.
Yeah,
I remember her having boobs.
I can't. Well, she
I remember
did.
her having pretty big boobs. But I may be mistaken her for Dolly Parton, who she's enormous. You know, she's just known for that.
Well, because Dolly Parton, too, was like a very small woman.
Little chick, little waist, big boobs.
Yeah.
And cute face. She's a good-looking woman. Good. She was a
Because we've also reviewed
monument to Southern beauty.
Best Little Whorehouse in Texas.
Yeah,
which
great.
also has Burt Reynolds.
Yeah, he's in
like I said, we've gone on
he sings a number in it, doesn't he? I think he sings.
Yeah, I think he does sing.
It's
in
a good
it.
musical, yeah, and it's fun. By a bunch of
about it.
hookers and a cop. The cop that protects them.
A bunch of hookers and a cop.
Well, I think it was legal where they were. Well, I think they called it the Chicken Ranch. Chicken Ranch was legal, I think. It was legal as prostitution.
Yeah, was it supposed to be?
People were just talking about them.
Yeah.
And it was shutting down. It was kind of like the end of the end of the Chicken Ranch.
Yeah, Samantha said, always loved Jan Michael Vincent. Yeah, he's actually really good in this. He plays kind of like, he's the younger stuntman. So he's like more of a, like I said, more of an adrenaline junkie, I guess, because he always wants to do like some stuff that hasn't been done before. But in his personality, like he's almost like the exact opposite, like to Burt Reynolds' character. He's very like kind of reserved, like he's not this drunk, wild kind of pill popping. Because I think like Burt Reynolds' character, Sonny, he even makes like he's talking to his girlfriend's dad, and he's like, you know, this new breed of stuntmans coming out, they're not like us. It's like they're a lot tougher than we are. It's like they're not a bunch of drunks and pill poppers like we are. You know what I mean? And it's like they're better at what they do, and he just kind of, Calm is kind of feeling like he's, you know, past his prime or whatever. But it's not like it's not a melancholy movie at all. Like they do kind of, you know, address that he maybe feels like he's getting to the end of his run, at least as far as being a stuntman is concerned. But he doesn't seem like super bitter about it or anything. And like I said, and he does eventually make friends with the younger guy, and then they actually become really close friends and do this big stunt at the end, you know. All right, so are you ready to
wrap we shut it down? We're going to get back to watching our series. We've been watching
our stories.
Watching Farscape, man. I haven't watched Farscape from the beginning to end. I remember when it came out, and I saw maybe about 6-7 episodes. I liked it. It's better than I remembered it. And Jen's enjoying it.
Yeah, I had never seen it back in the day. Like I said, it's like I always saw commercials for it when I, you know, watched MST. But
writing holds up, the CG holds up. Fucking the costumes are really good. The fucking puppets. It's good, kind of good alternative to Star Trek. If you haven't seen Farscape, it's free on Amazon Prime. The whole series, it's four seasons.
Yeah, it's 4 seasons,
and the seasons are long. You know.
Yeah, because I thought the one we watched last night, I was like, oh, that's got to be the last one because it seemed like very season finale-y.
Yeah.
But then, like, I saw the next one, I was just like, oh, I guess it's not.
Yeah. Think of it as Star Trek, but a lot better. And it's a bunch of fucking space convicts on a fucking living ship. It's a biomechanoid ship. There was a prison transport, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
Because it's got cells and stuff in it.
Yeah.
And they're on it. So it's not like Federation people, it's criminals.
Yeah,
but they're good.
But they're
cool. Yeah,
they're nice people.
And there's one human on there that gets wrapped up with me as an astronaut. He goes through a fucking wormhole, and they pull him in.
And he just ends up on this fucking ship because he just like
gets mixed up with him
in this middle of this space battle. And he's like, what the fuck? Yeah, but yeah, it's actually really good. And like I said, I'm more a horror person than a sci-fi person, so it takes a lot for me to get into a sci-fi because I love the original Star Trek, and I like some of the later ones as well. But really, the only sci-fi series that I can think that I liked as much as this one was, like, Firefly. Yeah. I loved that. But, like, I usually don't get into sci-fi as much as horror stuff.
This one's better than Star Trek because they're not Federation people having to follow rules. Anything can happen. Sex happens in it and shit. There's nudity in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Maria De La Noche says, have you seen The Last Movie Star from 2017? I don't think so. That doesn't sound familiar.
Last Movie Star? Damn, they're talking about Tom Cruise.
Tammy said, there is also a movie on Farscape. It's called The Peacekeeper's War, I think.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, see, I didn't even know
We'll check
about
that
that.
out.
But yeah,
Should we
we're
watch
still...
that after we see the series? Or during? Probably after.
Yeah, because we're still on season 1. I think we're on season 1, episode 17 or 18. I can't remember. But we've been like watching them, like a few. We watched a bunch of them over the weekend.
Ciarra just showed up. Isn't that her name?
Yeah.
Ciarra. Yeah.
We just saw the one
where
Ciarra showed up.
Yeah.
Because I was like, there she is.
Yeah.
She's the one that's always on the posters and stuff like that. I was like, I didn't realize it took that long for her.
Well, Ciarra was like the cutie of the series.
Yeah.
Yeah, little space punk rock goth chick. Yeah.
I like that dress she had on when they first brought her there.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Well, it was that jacket. She doesn't have it. Was like
it's
like a cowl. She took that off.
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah.
But it's like, yeah, I really did like that. I liked that whole look. Yeah. So she came on with what's his name that had tortured Virgil.
Yeah.
And the mind brainwashing people.
The brainwashing people.
The Nabari, I think they were called.
Yeah, Nabari.
The brainwashing people. But yeah, all right. So we are going to wrap it up for this evening. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this review. I don't know. I mean, we might do another Burt Reynolds movie next week. We might not. We'll see whatever our mood is, like on Sunday night when we pick a movie. So yeah, we might continue with the Burtsapalooza. We might not, but we'll see. Wednesday night show, we're going back to the serial killer action. Okay. And we're finally going to talk about one that a lot of you guys have recommended many times. Joe Ball, a.k.a. the Alligator Man, is from Texas from the 1930s. And they call him the Alligator Man for a reason. So we're going to talk about that on Wednesday night. So hopefully you guys can join us for that. Have a good rest of your evening, you guys. And have a good day tomorrow. And we will see you guys again on Wednesday night. Good night.